can correct me if I'm wrong, on planning for an overlay in October with PSE. Is that still on track?
Yeah, I'm nervous to say yes, but no, we've walked, 3 years in, 4 years in. No, we've walked the alley with both PSC and their subcontractor who will be doing the paving, working feverishly. The unofficial date is sort of the week of October 18th, but again, that's weather permitting. But we are very close. So we're trying to get it done in October before sort of asphalt plants shut down and whatnot. So that's what I know today. And we'll keep the businesses informed if we actually get a hard date, because there'll be some impacts and probably daily closures. That's the intent is that we would do a day or two of prep to grade the alley, grind the existing pavement, and then looking at getting a paving machine that'll do the alley in one pass. So that a little bit wider machine. So there'll be some daytime impacts, and we'll just work with the businesses.
All right.
Brandon,
Yeah, we get.
Go ahead.
I have a quick question. Brandon, have they taken the telephone poles out yet?
No, but the right-of-way permit from PSC is in to remove those. They submitted that just a couple weeks ago. They also might need some just daytime closures, at least in that north alley. So of the 7 poles, Chairman Mahoney, we're definitely ready on the north 4, but we've kind of made an executive decision to at least pave both alleys, even if the south 3 poles aren't quite out and ready. We're hopeful that Lumen can get their stuff together and get the poles wrecked out. But even if not, we might just have to live with 3 small little patches, but we just need to get pavement down. So that's our goal.
Can I ask a quick question here? This is probably totally, in general, how much is there like a standard lead time with PSC? Like if you say, look, I have this road project and I want to do it next May, or, is that predictable, or is it just case by case?
I'll try to answer, and Andrew, you can fill in. But yes, in our franchise agreement with PSC, we have provisions on utility notifications as we develop CIP projects. This project is not a good example of that because it's a PSC led. They're the lead on this, and we're sort of the partner. So it's not an applicable project. But yes, there's a process where we notify utilities well in advance. I think the timing in the franchise agreement is a year is the goal, so that they have enough time to either move their facilities or join in with us in interlocal agreements to partner for relocates during or with our projects. Typically, is that?
Yeah, no, I've read the agreement, and that's why I'm just struck by I'm just struck by everything about this just seems to be,
This is a tail wagging the dog.
Yeah. Working with PSC can be difficult, but it's doable. What is always the challenge is with, the Quest and Comcast, or, now Lumen. It's a nightmare to work with some of these other smaller, the other franchise utilities. That's where the delay is on this particular project, and typically that's what happens on our other projects as well, on some of our other road projects. It usually ends up being not PSE that's the issue.
Yeah, and just to add on to that as well, on other projects where utilities are doing some of their own paving work for restoration, for instance, a lot of those utility companies hire the same contractors we would. So we kind of get in line, and PSC struggles as much as we do to get contractors out on the street to actually do any paving, especially this late in the season. So we try our best, and they try their best. And like Dan said, PSC is actually usually pretty good to work with.
No, I'm not. I'm just. My wife got a like a light pole near our house years ago in Burien, and I was just struck by there were 6 agencies involved in just a light pole. And it took forever, and I'm
Only 6?
yeah, it must have been a slow week. So I'm always just struck by, how one can predict or plan just, any kind of construction cycle. Anyway, go on. Sorry.
Sure. Yeah. The next block of projects are from our 2021 arterial street paving program. So the interlocal agreement with Water District 54 to rebuild 8th as they did their water main. Pavement went down, the speed bumps went down, and now we're just in a punch list and fixing a few things out there with the contractor. So that project is wrapping up very nicely. The interlocal with Lake Haven for Lower Woodmont, they just gave the contractor notice to proceed. So they'll be working through this winter and into next year on water main replacements as well as paving. So I don't expect to see any new paving down there till early next year. The interlocal agreement with Highline Water District for all the North Hill work, they're about 80% complete. So there will be some more water main installs and some more streets getting paved up there. They're trying to, at least Highline Water District said they're trying to get all that done by the end of October, but we'll see how that pans out with weather.
Thanks for that update. I had a few people reach out to me, I think in the 20%, because they'd said they loved how everything got paved and done, but their area was still sounded like in process. So thank you.
And I know Highline Water District, they told me that they had a couple emergency main breaks they had to take care of and reshuffle resources. They're a little bit behind schedule on finishing up their North Hill work up there, but it's getting there and it's looking pretty good. The next project, as I've probably alluded to in the past, the signal at 24208 is complete and closed out. The North Marina Bulkhead project, as everybody's probably pretty aware now that we're under construction down there. Kind of still in the getting to know the contractor, getting to know the site, but it's coming together. We've got some existing conditions that are pretty challenging to deal with, but we're working through it. And another note, we've had some pedestrian trespassing issues with folks just deciding they're opening the gates and walking through the site. So in the future, just a heads up, I might get a little more strict on how the public has access to the area if we keep seeing some safety problems down there. But so far it's going pretty good. The restroom was demoed this past week, and I think we should be working, I believe today they should be starting to drive piles for the breakwater out there. So a lot of work going on and a lot more to upcoming on that project. In the planning or engineering phases of, or go ahead.
Second, on this particular project early on, we knew that the north bulkhead in particular was in pretty rough shape. We could see that. But as the contractor kind of began to do some of the initial site prep work, and just barely touching that interface between the bulkhead and the water, and that bulkhead collapsed. So we really were on borrowed time with that bulkhead. And in fact, even the contractor was, I think, telling Andrew that, there's a lot of voids underneath that sidewalk that we weren't even aware of, where the thing is really fragile. So we really lucked out with the timing of the project and just some of the milder winters we've had the last couple of years. So anyway, it's
Dan, would you guys during Michael's time report that out? I think about the state of the bulkhead plus the concerns about people walking.
Yeah, I think that we can do that next Thursday at the council meeting. We can do a project update and just some of the issues Andrew brought up with security, and just need to keep pedestrians out of there for their own safety. So
thank you.
Thank you.
I see little kids like sneaking around and so how deep are these pilings going to be?
The new ones will range from 20 feet to about 80 feet deep. So the deepest ones are on the northwest corner at the connection with the fishing pier. But yeah, it's a very significant, probably some of the deepest piles I've seen go in before.
Okay, thank you.
All right, moving on down to the Redondo Fishing Pier project. We're currently in 30% design on that one still. We've kind of slowed down a little bit this summer, getting our environmental documents together. We're hoping to submit those in the next few weeks. It's been a little more delayed on that front. We've been working with the Corps of Engineers as well as directly with the Puyallup tribes to work out some issues to try to keep this project moving forward. So like I said, a little bit later than I'd like to on the permitting, but we're kind of getting there to be able to move forward with the project. So that one's moving okay, but a little bit slower than I'd like. The 2021 arterial traffic calming program, right now, we're still reviewing quotes for 4 more or 5 radar feedback signs. And once we get those ordered and delivered, we'll start working with our crews on getting those installed at a couple locations throughout the city.
Is that from our regular funding or is that from the ARPA money we allocated that way?
No, that's regular funding.
Okay,
Yep, in our CIP. The 24th Avenue Sidewalk project, I will pass that on to Kai Lei to give an update on that project.
All right, thanks, Andrew. Thank you, committee, for the opportunity to provide a quick update on the 24 projects. We are continuing our work with the design team from Parametric to move the project forward to the final design phase right now. And originally, we were planning on advertising the project in March of 2022 and go into construction in June of 2022. However, we're running into some major utility conflicts that could potentially delay the project schedule a little bit. So I would like to share my screen here. Can everyone see my screen?
Yes.
So yeah, so this is just a snapshot of a preliminary design plan of the project for the section from 224 and 223rd. I just want to demonstrate how much it is, it's existing utility we have on the project that we are dealing with, and the location of those utility comparing to the proposed improvement on the project. So one of the major conflict that we're running into is with the lumen. You can see these 2 lines right here. Those lines represent their existing duct bank that running from in between 224 and 223rd on the east side of the project, and they are in direct conflicts with our proposed storm line. Lumen, they told us that their facility provide local and national service to the vast range of customer, including the FAA headquarters and the airport. So they expressed their concern that relocating those facilities would be really extensive, like in time and effort for design and construction, and that could potentially impact our project's schedule as well. So they had requested the city to work with them on an agreement to actually change our stormwater design to accommodate their existing facility. So that's one of the items that we're currently working on right now. Come up with some sort of a legal agreement for cost sharing for design, revision, and construction of our storm facility along that section of 24. The other conflicts that we have, as you can see right here, is this water line from Highline water districts. So that water main is also in conflict with our storm water, and Highline is working. It's also working with parametrics. It's a different team, but they working to come up with a design to relocate their water main, and we will enter an interlocal agreement with them to do the construction for their facility. Um, Yep. So, Andrew, do you have anything else to add, or
Yeah.
that's all I have for?
Yeah, thanks, Kai. And I think Kai, you showed a great plan there. And I think the theme of the story in general is with, especially with Lumen, as facilities are very major. Their duct banks, I think, are probably like 3 feet by 4 feet blocks of concrete. They've got two of them at different elevations. And what it's doing is it's making us redesign and actually drop our storm drain line down very deep, like up to the, mark of like 15 feet deep. So there's a lot of significant challenges on trying to get our proposed large storm drain in the street. And what it's causing is the redesign is probably more beneficial to the project than waiting for Lumen to move or adjust their facilities. So we're kind of going through that process on trying to figure out what does an agreement look like that Lumen actually will compensate the city for that type of redesign and work moving forward. So we'll have more on that coming up, but just it's a good intro on what the project has its challenges and a couple of the delays. What are they caused by, and the utilities are the big ones out here. So very,
and-
very challenging projects.
Yeah. So Andrew, so you think we'll be able to pass the cost off to them or a cost share? And do you have any idea if we're going to share how much more that's going to make the project? And
No,
also how much longer it's going to be delayed?
So right now we've had a couple of meetings with Lumen and they have committed to picking up the actual additional design and construction costs on our relocated facility where we're in conflict. The hard part is to get that agreement agreed to by both parties. Lumen, or as they were CenturyLink, like Dan said, are one of the more challenging utilities to work with, but there has been verbal committal so far in our meetings. They would much rather pay us to avoid them versus them having to spend the time on trying to relocate. They were talking about thousands of fiber optic cables running these duct banks. So I mean, it's for them, they're probably talking hundreds of thousands of dollars of work to try to relocate. So they've got a vested interest in us taking kind of the lead and them paying us to do that.
So really quick, because I know we have other sections of 24th that are eventually in this deal. Is there any way to maybe have this in mind, or are we just going to get a blueprint to how to handle the other sections of 24th?
Yeah, so I can,
as we go through other projects.
Sure, I'll take that one. Yeah, so I think Lumen's facilities, you're talking about like the next segment of 24th and how that comes together. With this information, we'll have definitely a better understanding of where the utilities have their lines running, and we'll have a different approach earlier on to have a better identification and notification to the utilities. We did our 1 year advance notice telling them when we're going to construction. But unfortunately, some of these are just so big that there's no really easy answer to get around them, especially when we have, Highland Water District wanting to redo their water line as well. We're just packing the street with a lot of utilities now.
Yeah, but that's a good answer. I mean, at least you're learning from this and taking it to the next one. So
yeah, this surprisingly, yeah, I didn't realize. I mean, we knew that there was communication out there in the road, but we didn't realize to what extent and who the utilities were serving, to where it's just it's just a lot larger in magnitude than our other corridors that we've actually had to ask them to move.
Yeah, I think I had wanted Kai to kind of bring this to the committee just to also kind of share some of the complexity that many don't get to see at this early level, where you can see how many utilities. I mean, I counted 6 owners and there's multiple lines in there, including us. So you're a lot of spaghetti in this 60 feet. And not just, I think the perfect storm here is we're trying to shoehorn in a 36 diameter pipe for our storm facility. And that's not an easy task. So Kai is doing a great job of, trying to get the best product for the citizens at the end of the day, but really challenging little corridor here. But the guys are doing great.
Brandon,
Well,
thank you.
real quick for me is that looks like the sanitary sewer is in an easement running north-south
Ye-
behind the sidewalk.
Yeah, that's only for this section for south of 224. Yeah, they
the
running
point-
on in the center line.
The point of that is that because that sanitary is in an easement, it really limits our ability to move the project.
Yeah, good.
Because
good
now you
point.
have to pay to move the sanitary sewer.
Yeah, and it's
So
one of
it's
their
an
larger facilities, I think, and that's, yeah, they had a previous easement on, I think it's Midway Covenant
Yep.
Church there, and so
Yep.
it limited our ability to expand the right of way.
Yep.
Yeah.
Well, the one thing is, I mean, the biggest, I mean, not only will it make 24th nicer, but the biggest reason is that safe routes to school. So it's worth it. Whatever you
Yeah.
need to do, you know,
Yeah,
it's
you
worth
bet
it for our
it's-
kids to get to school safely.
Yeah, you bet. This is still a great project. We're putting a lot of effort into it. From a schedule perspective, outside of just the design challenges, we are still working with our grant partner TIB on trying to get right-of-way acquisition phase advanced here, so we can kind of get that moving shortly here in the next month or two, as well as we're still, I mean, pending this utility conflict, we're still going to try to take the rest of the design to final design with anticipation to still try to go to add early next year. So we're still going to do everything we can to hit the mark in the first, second quarter next year. But we just wanted to kind of bring up some of these higher risk challenges we've got to work through here.
Thank you.
So my next silly question, going back to that light pole I mentioned, it was the case back then that apparently there was very poor mapping of utility lines in Burien, and it was very common that they would find undiscovered different stuff from like post World War II and so on. How often is it that you run into where you find unexpected infrastructure from different providers? I mean, is it all fairly well mapped out at this point, or is that still an ongoing thing?
Yeah,
No,
I
go
can
ahead,
try
Kai.
to provide an answer to this question. So we work with all of the utility and trying our best to map out the existing software out there, but it's all based on their as-built, and some of their records are date like 20, 30 years back in the day. So another effort that we trying to do is asking utility to actually go out there and doing the potholing, so they could provide a more accurate horizontal and vertical information. But that's also a very lengthy project, as a coordination with utilities are challenging.
Okay,
Yeah,
so this is an ongoing thing. In other words, it's to be expected that whenever you put in a new road, you're gonna there's gonna be something unexpected that comes along from 30 years ago or so on.
every
Right.
project.
Yeah.
You find stuff every time.
Yeah, we trying to minimize the utility conflict during the design phase as much as we can, with the ultimate goal to lessen the impact during construction, which will cost a lot more money, but more often than not, we definitely ran into the surprise stuff flattened around.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
All right, Kai, do you want to
Yep. I'm gonna stop sharing. There
unshare,
you
then
go.
I'll bring mine back up really quick. All right, the next project we're kind of championing engineering is the 2022 street paving program. There's kind of two sites we've been designing currently. One is an overlay on Woodmont Drive South from 16th down to Woodmont Beach Drive, where the road has been ground down and just never repaved. So we're looking at that. And we're also looking at an overlay and ADA modifications down on Redondo Beach Drive from Redondo Way to South 281st, kind of in front of the mast and the mast facility, as well as Salty's down there, where that big bump is that we all know about. The other roads that I'm kind of evaluating pending some more discussion with finance. One would be doing overlays, Marine View Drive, 10th to 13th, 16th Avenue, 260th to 250th, 16th from KDM to 223rd, and also the neighborhood adjacent to 16th and 260th. So kind of some of our larger arterials that are starting to show some distress, that it would be good to go out there and do a minor grind and overlay and keep those in a good condition over the coming years here. And I'll bring more information to the committee on that as we start kind of putting that together.
Just stole my question. Thank you.
Yeah. Yeah, the only two projects, the ones that are actually in design, the Woodmont and the Redondo ones, are the two that I'll definitely try to get to add at the first of the year to try to get good prices on those. The other ones will be more of a discussion as we move those forward. The other projects, we're kind of looking at the Barn Street Trail South segment. We did a grant submittal to TIB back in August. We'll know if we were successful or are successful in November. So that would be a good one. Then the Redondo paid parking. I know we've been talking about that. Next year, hopefully we can start looking at it from a comprehensive perspective and kind of get that one moving a little bit. Moving down to the large projects, still working on Sound Transit 509 and the 216th Bridge with WashDOT. So just some of our big projects we're supporting. And then down below, for any other grants we've been kind of pursuing, I mentioned the TIB one for the 240th corridor. The parking lot or the bulkhead project, our capital appropriation of 1.9 million, that contract has been executed. The Redondo Fishing Pier capital appropriation of $900,000, that's for construction. And we're just into design with permitting, so I don't see that contract getting executed until 2022, pending a date to go to construction. Then we have another application in for TIB Complete Streets with the Cascade Bicycle Club. We just submitted that one. And that's all I have for an update. If there's any more questions, I'd be glad to answer them.
Just so the North Hill Elementary walkway, you're working on that to apply in 2022 for what, 2023, 24?
Yeah, the next
Target
cycle. Yeah, you bet. The next cycle for the Safe Routes to School project applications are 2022. So I'll be focusing on that next year when WashDOT, publishes their requests for applications. But yeah, that's definitely high on my radar, and I'm still trying to seek other funding that may help move that project forward. But that's just a great corridor to keep moving on.
Yes.
Andrew, put that on your list for you, me, and Brandon to chat about next week sometime.
Sure. All right, that's all I had.
Councilmember Harris, did you have any more questions on this?
Always, but no, not right now. Thank you.
Okay. Well, that's all we had on the agenda today.
One
Go
other
ahead,
thing
Brent.
I was just going to say, we'll put a note out with Bonnie that there is a ribbon cutting. We were a partner. It didn't show up on this list, but we were a partner with CTEC on the Des Moines Memorial Drive 200 signal, which kind of ties into this walkway that we'd love to see on 200. But that is a week from today, right? I believe that's a week from today. And so
It's on the 7th, yes.
Deputy Mayor Mahoney, do you feel like you've got everything you need for that?
Yes, I'll be there.
Okay.
Thank you for the notes, Andrew.
No problem.
Just some other, since we have a few minutes, just some other miscellaneous things. We think that the girders for the Sound Transit Guideway will be placed over Kent Des Moines Road sometime in November. Or sometime within the next 2 months, likely in November. So there'll be some nighttime closures while they install those girders over the road. So that'll begin to kind of change some of the landscaping up there. The noise walls are going in, they're making really good progress on that. The 216th Bridge Reconstruction, turned out really well. The work that Kiewit did for us on that, and pretty amazing the amount of work that they did in what, 5 weeks. Really remarkable work there. Overall, that project's going pretty well. We've got a few disputes, as with any project we're working through. So hopefully we'll get some of that stuff resolved with them.
Dan, quick question on the Sound Transit project.
Yep.
So there's still no word on any of the maintenance facility or any location. I know they got locked down to the 3, but nothing, huh?
No, we haven't heard any updates on that other than, they're in whatever process they'll go through. The board at some point will select a preferred site, and then they'll move that preferred site through the EIS process and finish that at that point.
Have they,
So
I know they talked about the site where the landfill is, just really had a quick, and they were talking about all the if they emptied the site, all the dump trucks that would be put on Pack Highway. Had they had any discussion of maybe moving it to go right onto the freeway instead to avoid the traffic?
no, they haven't had any of those kind of discussions.
Okay.
Up until, what's interesting is the draft, you remember the draft EIS came out before all the flood of this federal money, and the Midway site was just financially just off the charts, inconceivable that they would actually pick that site. But just given the printing presses are running in full operation right now, I mean, who knows? Maybe the Fed throw some money at this and they put the facility at that location. But that would be quite a project to put it on that site. I tell you, dealing with that garbage would be something else.
Yeah.
I just
Well, they
don't see
never
how they
mentioned,
do it.
yeah, they never mentioned anything about the super fund money possibly they could get too. So they knew it was out there.
Yeah, but we haven't heard
Okay.
any updates recently on that. Sounds like the 509 project, we've been working on the design aspects of that for a while now, but it sounds like they'll be starting some field work here within the next couple of months. They're going to be shifting I-5 southbound toward the median. And so they'll begin to do some of the work north and south of the Des Moines interchange, just east of the transit way. So, at this point, now that a lot of the noise walls are up, unless you're out on I-5, you're going to be oblivious to it a little bit, but they're getting ready to break ground on that project. So it's pretty exciting to see that.
Dan, may I ask, is there when they rebuild the 260 bridge, is there some sort of like a, closure kind of plan at this point?
Yeah, we have some detour plans and closure plans that I think Andrew's team's been working on with WashDOT, reviewing the plans for that. But that's gonna, well, unless the contractor expedites the work, I mean, I think it's a 2-year kind of construction window that they're talking about. So it's significant.
Where it's just going to be closed altogether? Not down to
No,
one
they
lane?
have one lane, one direction, one lane open for traffic, I think, that they maintain. Is that right, Brandon?
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
it's one year of one lane operation. So, and there's rumors they might be able to get it done quicker, but the agreement is a 12-month closure, I believe, still allowing westbound traffic.
Yeah, I believe it's along westbound.
Yeah.
So that'll be a little bit of pain, but we're getting a free bridge. So,
Yep.
or a 3-lane bridge. Yeah.
At some point, I mean, it doesn't have to be now, but I'm always fascinated by this whole, when you talk about the Redondo fishing pier and, you're at a certain design point, and then it sounds as though the permitting is a highly interactive process. It's not like here's a design and then, you submit it to a particular agency. It sounds like there's quite a bit of back and forth. Have I got
It-
that?
Yes and no, it depends. So right now we're working on the federal submittals and the federal documents that go with those submittals, all the technical reports. And what we try to do, or at least what I try to do managing a project, is I pull all the players that I know who are going to be associated with it into a meeting together to kind of vet, are we on the right track, or is there any objection to what we're doing? And one thing that happened on this project was the Puyallup tribes had a lot of comments for the city about this project. And the Corps of Engineers basically said, okay, city, it's okay if you contact the tribes directly now to try to solve some of your disputes that you might have before you apply for permits, or you can apply for the permits, and the process through the Corps to communicate with the tribes is just a little bit more laborious. So the project team and myself has decided to work with the tribes to try to get a submittal to where they can hopefully accept it formally without too many more comments later on during the actual process. So it's kind of strategic project by project on kind of who's the players, what type of comments do you receive, and the timeline on the permitting process. But this is tough. This is not as hard as the Bulkhead project, but there's a lot more sensitivity of fishing rights down in the Redondo area.
Yeah, no, you'll hear there's sort of a tone to most of my questions about predictability. And I'm just constantly struck by how all of these projects, there's just this, what did that guy say? Unknown unknowns and so on. And yeah. Okay, thank you.
Yeah, part of the jigsaw puzzle.
Well, thank you guys for your time today. Appreciate everything you do for us. And keep at it, man. With that, Councilmember Harris, the motion to adjourn.
Yeah, just what are there any current drawings of the at some point you had these renderings of like what the walkway might look like, to be fish friendly and so on, with light going through. Are those still around? Because people
For
ask
the
me about
fishing
that
pier?
all the time. Yeah,
For the Redondo fishing pier?
yes, sir.
Yeah, so a little bit of an update on the Redondo fishing pier. So working with the Puyallup tribes and some other stakeholders, it looks like we're going to be having a fully graded facility. And right now what I'm doing is I'm actually working with suppliers to provide a sample of the product of what we're probably going to be proposing on the project. So once I kind of get all that together, I'll be able to share that kind of final product, that final look. But it's looking like everything's aimed at a composite fiber reinforced grading out there to try to satisfy all the players out there. So it's not going to be concrete like the boardwalk on this one. It's going to be a lot different than the boardwalk project.
Okay, so the pictures we saw before, they're no longer applicable.
Yeah, the pictures before, I was trying to maintain a 30 to 40% concrete walkway, and that has become
We got a lot of
for
pushback
better or
on
less
that.
a non-negotiable with the Puyallup tribes on that one. So we've had to look for other solutions to kind of get them to help buy into the project as a whole.
Okay,
But I think
I'm not trying to drag this out, but is there any kind of like freak out factor? Like, in other words, people looking down with the grading and
no, I've had samples of metal grading so far, and it actually looks pretty good. And I've walked a couple of sites in Seattle where facilities are fully graded, and the thickness of them, it's hard to kind of look down and get freaked out from it. So I actually think the product's going to be good, and everything we do is still going to be ADA compliant for all users out there. So I think it's going to be okay, but there's not many options. To get through the core process with the tribes, there's really not many options on the table for this project.
No, I get it. So thank you for indulging me. Motion to adjourn.
All right, second. With that, you guys have a great day and we'll
Thank
see you soon.